have your attention? Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Can I get a round of applause? Awesome. For those that saw this, I'm the director and the producer and the executive producer.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. There are local business owners and operators that are here that are part of this film to speak. I know that we're an intimate group, so I am going to have interactive questions instead of traditional panels. I also want to say that this film will also be screened inside San Diego Prison in California. We got the San Diego Film Festival. We will also be at Real Sisters Festival in Brooklyn. As of right now, trying to see if we're going to organize a conversation there so y'all know what's really happening. Urban World, we just found out we're in the final round there. So that's going to potentially be last weekend of October. And so I'm excited that people want to hear this type of stories, but I am going to invite the individuals that are part of the film to step on stage, which includes Chris, who's on his phone, and Nicole and Coss. Just so you know, I was an educator. Coss, that means you're part of that. I was an educator, so I have no problem turning the lights on and off in this bad boy to get your attention. So please take a seat. Thank you.
Push your seat back over there.
So I'll say a little bit about me.
Sit here.
My name is Pryor. I was formerly a license holder in hemp and cultivation in the cannabis industry with my business partners who were Italian and Jewish, Brickhouse Industries, Tricolor Farms. We sold our license 2 years ago, just given some reality checks of where things are in the space and what matters. My background is in advertising and marketing with a big focus in tech and innovative strategies. I got into this business because I did believe the hype of it being a salvation mechanism for Black and brown individuals, namely those who are justice impacted, and I like to remove all the language that white people use to say people that have been locked up, just given the fact that this industry was built on our backs. And unfortunately, it's looking crazy, which is what this film talks about for not only Black women, but for justice impacted folks, or those who align with the narrative of the green rush, green revolution, moneymaker, things of that nature. My father was indeed justice impacted, and I consider myself a daughter of the war on drugs. I also have a huge problem with Black and brown people getting caught up in white people's lives. It makes me so mad. And so I'm really glad that these individuals lent their time to film this, to let you know more about this. Coss's scene was filmed in April of this year. We edited that in 24, and Nicole's, we all filmed them in April. This was originally finished and done 2 years ago. I was able to raise this money from Nancy Whiteman only because I was able to navigate a scenario where I stopped her from investing into the fund that actually did not exist for these individuals. And so if I did not give her that incredible tip, I would not have been able to get that money to get this going. If this would have been right now, I doubt that we would have got the money that we got because of what all these amazing things are happening given the climate of the government. But I want to let you know that the desire to do more is showing up because this industry just has so many unique dynamics. So I do want to present and say thank you to Coss and Nicole and Chris. Nicole and yes, thank you. Nicole and Chris are team Bliss and Lex. Coss Marte has 15 businesses. He's a Dominican, so I expect that. ConBud and ConBud and a host of other items along with a nonprofit. As you may know or may not know, a lot of the work that came from people like myself who were once advocates in this space came from the fact that even though we may not be justice impacted or know the full impact of that, we believed in the power of making sure that people who have been affected by the war on drugs can and should go first. This was the only program that existed in the world, globally, United States, that did that. And so being able to honor that and support these businesses is really important right now, more than ever. And so you getting the almost nationwide perspective is important because it shows that each place has its own unique battles. And even from when this was edited and put up at Tribeca, which was our first debut, the programs and the problems are getting way more problematic and intricate. And so I literally just got a phone call while I was here from Native Detroiters to do part 2, because now things are happening there. But you understanding this perspective of how we all were told that this was something to impact our communities really matters, because I think that we have a hard time understanding the complexity of the lies that we're told. And so it's important to understand that in supporting these businesses, yes, we all like, we although we hate capitalism, we're all in it. We like new clothes, we like fresh food, we all have an iPhone or an Android device. So it's not like we are not part of this wheel that we've all ascended to, but to understand that this is important and their stories are important and their support intrinsically is important in this space is really, really important, especially as all industries are under attack, not just this one. So I'm gonna let Coss give his introduction. I'll let Nicole and Chris speak, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
Give it up for Mary, I guess. She put this incredible film, and I feel like a lot of people need to like really watch it, because it's not only like a dope ass film, but the education that's being brought to the public needs to be learned by the public. I mean, incredible job, and I can't wait for like it to keep continuing to blow up.
Much against my desire, yes. People want to do more, yes.
Yeah. So my name is Coss Marte. I founded ConBud, where we hire people coming out of the prison system to work with us, or have individuals that have been impacted by the justice systems, have family members in the system, or people that have been in the block, like literally on the block for years, you know, to work in an actual job, to be, Jamal. No, but thank you for coming. You know, Jamal is somebody that's been working with me for how many years, Jamal? 9 years, right?
You up here now, you just
Get a chair.
Like you gotta talk down. Like I don't understand. You can't just go up here and do that.
Yeah. I invited him last minute, sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's just been it's been an incredible feeling and an opportunity to hold something where I could create an opportunity for our people to readapt back into society, right? A lot of people coming out of the system have no idea what they have to do to just reintegrate, right? Like, there's people that have done so much time, 20, 30 years, they went in with a flip phone, now they're coming in with a fucking touchscreen, right? Like, what's the perspective of that? They're using tablets inside with no internet, right? How do we educate that person, right? There's AI now, like it's just, we're living in a different universe, right? So we need to get back to our people that are readapting, right? Like, and these are the people that are gonna hustle and do way more work. And we in there every day, you know, and they know, because they know the amount of work it takes to not only like, you know, run a business, but run a cannabis business, right? And especially as us, that I don't know how y'all started, but I started with like with a loan and bootstrapping a lot of money, and figuring it out with no money and paying off all my loans and figuring it out and finally like getting a check, you know? And that's what it is.
Thank you. To provide some background here, I met Coss's cousins because they own a bunch of hospitality businesses, and one of their biggest pushes was they were trying to figure out if this was worth their time. We met for 3 hours, really, to me, for no reason. And at the end of the 3 hours, I was like, wait, isn't your cousin Coss? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, why don't you just do the license with him? And that's how this kind of like push
And
forward.
what's crazy, that stirred up their mind, but then out of nowhere, like, I reached out. Cause one of my cousins told me, yo, these guys already got a weed store in the Bronx. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, it's not even legal yet. So I called him, like, yo, you know.
They told me that.
I was like, yo, my cousin, yeah.
Right back.
But I was like, yo.
Yeah, I'm coming right back. Right back. I didn't know I was paying out, so I was just driving by. I got my son in the car. Yeah, I'm right back.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, everything is serendipity and everything's like worked out in the right time, at the right place, and even when you think everything's gonna fail, like, God prevails, basically, you know, whatever that, our spirits, you know.
Nicole, I know of Nicole through this industry, only adjacent to what has been the Justice Impacted program, but Nicole, as you might have seen in the film, like, the litany of expertise is crazy. I happened to come across Nicole's old LinkedIn photos as I was trying to find a good photo for her, which we're working on that right now.
We're working on that.
Her personal branding, but you know, Black women will have this litany, like a 2-page, 3-page resume of expertise, and still have to deal with what I call the F-word mess of navigating these things. And Chris being justice impacted, as people don't know, New York again went first with justice impacted people in this industry first. Again, and unfortunately no one's gonna follow that model anywhere else, as anyone else is looking into this. Virginia's definitely not gonna do it, which is up next. But if Nicole or Chris wanna talk a little bit about how they got where they are, I'll let Chris kick this off, because Chris rarely speaks, but I do want Nicole, as you've gotten to know in this video, talks. I made Chris get up here, so he, I'm known for doing that. So Chris, can you please talk a bit more?
Sure. So my name is Christopher Lucien. Me and my wife Nicole, we own Bliss and Lex, which is on the Upper East Side on 86th Street and Lexington Avenue. We have a successful business. We are definitely blessed. At this point, we've reached where we're looking to expand. We've targeted a few locations, and you know, we put a plan in. You have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're not going anywhere, nowhere. You know, I never thought this would happen. I was released from prison. Well, I maxed out of prison the time I owed in 2000. And from 2000 till 2 years ago, I've tried unsuccessfully to start my own business, because, you know, it's a lie that you pay your time and then you can move on. This has, my convictions have stayed with me my whole life. And you just don't get the good jobs. You don't get the opportunities. You know, it's unfortunate. You know, I never dreamed this would be possible, but I'm living the American dream right now. You know, we're going to be able to provide generational wealth, growth, opportunity. We're building a brand. You know, we're making plans for things that I never thought were possible. You know, I'll say this, the reason, it might have been my conviction that we're here, but the reason we're successful is because of my wife. Because when I didn't believe, she did it. You know, I'm grateful to her. You know, her business sense. You know, I'm more the operational guy. You know, I can run things. My wife is the one who's in the background making the engine run. She's the,
And
I don't know how to put it.
She is one of them ones, as the kids say.
You know.
I just want to add that part of the reason why we're up here, Bliss and Lex, ConBud, is because these two gentlemen have a work ethic that is unlike anything that I've seen. Many people don't know, but we've known Coss well before the cannabis industry, well before we were licensed. My husband and Coss were actually in a program for offenders who were recently released from prison, who were trying to start their own businesses. So we actually met Coss over 10 years ago. And we were all in the same hustle, trying to start a business. And using different programs and opportunities, and that's, I believe, how you started ConBud, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's how he started ConBud. We also started something, my husband at that time got his taxi license, so we kind of used that as an opportunity to stabilize our family. But these two men here are hustlers. And what I love so much about the New York State program is that they prioritize people with convictions, which allowed men like this to stand up and to take advantage. It's not always possible. It's not always possible.
I think it's also like good to learn that not everybody could do this, right?
Yeah.
Like people they gave us an opportunity they gave us a golden ticket, but I'm like, when you get that golden ticket, how are you gonna work that ticket, right?
We all hustled for this.
You know,
we didn't take DASNY money, none of us. We didn't take state funding.
So I want,
I'll let you do what you do. But we
so-
hustled for this. That's my point there.
So I wanna call this out because I understand now why Black EPs and directors move the way that they move, because I had to fight tooth and nail to get this told in a way where I didn't want no one to look crazy. And what that means is that a lot of these films, a lot of these items will make people look destitute, crazy, hopeless, not smart, not capable. And I say this as someone who, by the past 3 years, is now making films and never thought that this was something that was really a thing. But I'm telling you, as someone who is the spook that is sitting by the door, that this is a thing. They literally construct and make narratives to make us look ridiculous. And so having to fight that was something that put me in the hospital twice. It was something that made me want to quit. It was something that actually made me quit in order to justify shooting their story. I ended up in the hospital over a fight over shooting their story in Jersey City. They don't know this is all new. And so I'm very much so a person of my convictions. As Coss has gotten to know, I finish what I start. And so one of the big things that you see here for this New York reference is the DASNY unveiling. Coss knows this because I was very, very early yet privately trying to get others to understand that that was something that, from the looks of it, was not quote unquote real.
It was a
A
trap.
trap?
Say what it is. A trap.
And I say that because I knew the underlying nature of it in a way that was very, very, very harmful for people that, even if they knew better, didn't know better. And so Nicole says in the film what the particulars of that really were. And there are a few individuals, there was about 20 or so businesses in the state right now that are caught up in the dynamics of that. And so I'm gonna ask Nicole to expand more about what she highlighted here, just given how they did not do that. And I want Nicole to kind of like own that conversation a bit.
So part of the marketing behind this licensing, where people with convictions would be first in line, was this whole DASNY fund. And basically they marketed it in such a way where you would get funding, but also business support, a location. You basically get a business in a box, right? That's kind of how they advertised it. But what they didn't mention was that there was no clarity on the business loan or the terms of that loan. So you would be basically signing a blank check. You did not know how much your location was for. You did not know the interest on your loan. The only thing you knew was the location. That was the only thing that you got to select, right?
Yeah, most of these deals were 1.7, 1.5 million dollars. You had to pay that back in 10 years.
Yeah.
So that's like $100,000 a month.
Yeah. We're talking about loans that were upwards of $1.5 million, $2 million that they had to pay back in 10 years without any idea of what the interest rate was or what the terms were. And so Mary mentioned that she advised Coss not to take it. Our attorney as well advised us to not take
Advice is not legal.
Right, no, she said you are not
I threatened his cousins and said that shit is not real, bro. You're not doing that.
Yep.
And I did it with a few others who listened, but Another issue that happens in our community is that if we're not white, they don't listen. I'm just gonna tell you what it is.
Mary, so when they mentioned this loan, I went to the community board and I told them, I was like, why do I need your money to start my business? I have my own money, let me start my own business. And I said that, and then it was like, literally when they made a notice and they, like in a week later, they said, now we're gonna change the rules and allow people to use their own money to do their own business, right? And then, and so that happened, but I was showing up to the meeting so much that they thought I already had a license. Like people thought I had a license in the first round because I was showing up so much. So I started bothering Dasney. So Dasney had to locate that my Lower East Side location was being negotiated by Dasney, and I undercut that deal.
Yes, he did.
And because Ruben McDaniels was like, yo, negotiating for me, and I basically boxed him out, played chess, and checkmated him, and then he was gone.
We had the same situation. So our site was a Dasney location, but whoever the city had negotiated their lease fell through. They didn't negotiate, so we came behind them and were able to secure the location. What Dasney did to try to screw us was that they took all the high value properties in the city before we even had a chance to select. Right? That was their way of trying to force us into the deals by taking all of the high traffic, high value locations, so we would have to do business with them. But what they did not think of is people like Coss, people like myself and my husband who were just waiting. And so just like Coss, we waited, their lease negotiations fell through, we came right behind and said, hey, we'll take the lease. And we were able to secure a Dasney location, but under our own terms.
To say that, I want Nicole to highlight here, what the story cannot have, which there's no, like, people are like, what's the good news? The good news is that a few of us do have an opportunity where we are wiser than what the oppressor tries to do. The concern is that this nationwide is forming into different attacks on us, especially in a time where there's no support around these matters, or the idea that there's no support around these matters in a way where it does affect the bottom line. And so, one of the big things that this film tries to highlight is that even through the lens of Black women or those that are impacted by the war on drugs, or both in combination, the backbone of this work does rely on people not fully understanding how deep in the trenches this work really is when it comes to even trying to exist in this space. What you see is these stories and these media stories saying that everybody's making money in buku dollars. That is not factual at all.
That's not true.
And that's not true.
That's not true.
Nicole has an amazing story in Harper's Bazaar. Coss has been in New York Times 55 times. And so there's still
working.
And
still
working.
working. Like I hopped on the register this morning.
Exactly, right? I'm not clear the line.
Yeah.
So like the idea that everyone is profiting from this is also still not real. I say this as someone that knows that even in the state of Michigan, there's been another 24% tax imposed on the industry 2 weeks ago. It got passed. Right now, there's a lawsuit that was filed from the Michigan Association of Cannabis Producers. There's another one coming from a secret group. There's a call happening at 5 o'clock today from all the Black owners. This means that at the register, the customer will more than likely have to potentially pay 40+% on top of the actual cost of the product. In California, if you saw that story right there, that is the issue that has completely disheveled and shut down numerous businesses, not only Black, White, and Candy Stripe, but most impactedly us, because most of the companies that have a lot of money, corporate multi-state operators, have accounted for that. Not to also mention tariffs. Today, if you are a day trader like me, you might have noticed that Trump always made some crazy statement about China. There's already tariffs in place that are affecting a lot of businesses, but these businesses on a small level will knock people completely out. I know Black women, I know all women, I know men that are already impacted by tariffs for things that's such as simple as spices, that they're having issues with selling businesses. And so with this onslaught of all of these items, what allows you and what is important for people to know so that you can continue to grow and even hire and employ persons like Jamal. We've never spoken formally, but I know your face. Jamal, you came up here and you dapped everybody up. I didn't get no dap. So I didn't really get the dap I wanted. And so, Jamal, given what you're hearing and all these things, and given that, you know, like Coss even says, like, Coss has a poster of poster child activities that are all over in his way, which is justified earned media. But the way that people dangle the carrot is crazy. So Jamal is someone who is impacted, hired. You got a son in the car. Is your son in here? I don't know what's going on.
Right.
All right, cool. Just making sure. But you don't leave in the car. How do you feel about being in the crux of this right now?
Scared because a whole bunch of stuff can happen. Thankfully, we got our relicense and we got from under the heat, you know. But it's looking good. It's looking promising. You know, the future looks good for us. I don't know how about everybody else. You know what I mean? But we've been working hard, so the future could look bright. You know, we got a lot of people that's not just as impacted that works, and they feel like they just as impacted because of the stress and the stuff that comes along with all of that right there. This is not an easy thing. And blood tenders did not have an easy job. Like, you know what I mean? Even from the procurement for everybody, like this is like a whole, like when it's stressful, because now you're not making no money. And everybody's thinking crazy because they don't know how to gel. Now, Coss came yesterday with some good news. Now everybody's back. They breathing again. Okay, we take this thing to the next step.
Did you envision the cannabis industry, Jamal, being like this?
No.
What were you sold? What were you sold?
Not in a million years. In a million years did I think that we would be legal for one. You know, I got locked up for joints. You know, like every 5 people, 1 joint in the car, you all got locked up. So for it to be this far right here, right now, and we being able to enjoy the benefits of it, I think it's good. Yeah, I think it's gonna get better.
But can I say something? Because like people don't understand that every state has failed, right? Every state has failed. And what keeps us from failing is holding the line, right? What people don't understand, the line is the profit margins. We're only operating at a 10% net profit margin, right? Like there's only 10%.
I want you to break down that math, because not only do people, and I try to tell people that are like, yeah, I want to get in cannabis, and I was like, you might do better getting 10 of your friends to put 10 racks together and getting a Chick-fil-A franchise. Yeah. So I want you to talk to, and I do the math all the time, so I want you to tell me and tell them, because people are like, oh, okay, what does that mean? How much are you making on top of, let's say,
so
$100,000?
Let's say we make $1 million that year, right? And you have a 50% profit margin, right? We get the profit, we get the product for 50 cents, we sell it for $1. Now we get taxed 13% on that. So that's 13%, we're just passing it over to the state. So you take that off. Then you have 20% off the gross profit margin. So so the gross profit, so that 50 other percent is being taxed 21% by the feds, because it's 280E tax. Now you have different ways where you can navigate and be like, hey, I could tax deduct different sections of that business through like processors that are holding the flower or moving the flower from the thing, or the security, because you need security to control this product from not being stolen or whatever it is. So there's different ways that you can allocate different money like that, but the majority of part, you get like a 10% profit margin. So if I got $1 million of revenue, I'm making $100,000 a year, right? Now I split that $100,000 a year with 3-4 partners. Let's say I own 51%, I make 51 grand, right? Out of $1 million business.
And you still gotta pay tax on that 50.
And then I gotta pay
And
taxes.
then you gotta pay a tax on your distribution too, right? So like many people think cannabis dispensaries make tons of money, which is, we may see the traffic, right?
Cash.
But we see the cash, but our payroll, I don't know about yours, Coss, our payroll is $100,000 a month.
Yeah.
Just $100,000 off the top is just going to employees, not including our security costs, not including our insurance costs. not including utilities, rent. Our location is on 86 in Lexington, which is a prime retail location. So our rent is over $60,000 a month. Over $60,000.
Why? Why stay in the business? Why do it?
Why do it? I tell you this. Most of the people who are in the cannabis industry have a love and a passion for cannabis. For me, my brother was a double amputee. He lost both his legs at 39 years old. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he used cannabis to get through his entire recovery process, including all of his surgeries and his hospitalization. He fell from a 6-story building, and cannabis was what got him through that entire traumatic experience, in addition to his recovery at home. My mother-in-law, my husband's mother, uses cannabis for sleep. She cannot sleep without cannabis. We have customers who are 90 who can't eat without cannabis. For us, it's the connection with the plant. It's the connection with the customers. My husband and I, we actually connected over cannabis on our first date. That's how we even became interested in each other, right? Yeah, like, I smoked, he smoked, he was like, you smoke? He was like, and you cute, let's go out. And I'm like, all right. So to be honest, and Coss can tell you the same, it's the love of the plant. It's not just about getting high, like cannabis is medicinal. We don't talk about that enough. And I literally have customers who come in every day and say, thank you for being here. You saved my life. You being here with your product saved my life. I know customers by name. That brings me joy.
I appreciate that. A lot of people don't think about that part of cannabis. They just think about getting high. They don't realize that there's a health.
I give away cannabis because I know of the benefits. I always have some.
Do that when you see me.
Yeah, I got you.
I will say though, it is very hard to love and also be riddled with the fact that given the status of this plant and given the status of the business, you will have to navigate or try to avoid or sit with the reality of having $502 million in debt that you can't forgive. Because you cannot file bankruptcy on your cannabis business.
You can't.
And so in California, there are a lot of businesses that have shut down since this actually came out in May. There are several Black-owned businesses, even in this film, that are gonna shut down by the end of the year.
And I think the biggest thing to know is that these medical operators already have this already calculated in a spreadsheet, right? Like I sat down with these people and they say like, this is a spreadsheet for them, you know? So they have imagine we only have a 50% profit margin. They get to grow it. All right, they get to process it, they get to distribute it, and they get to sell it. We only, and they get no tax, right, because they're medical. So the amount of profit margin they got, right, they could bring the price down so cheap, right, that we won't be able to compete. So Cureleaf, right, they were trying to open up on 210 Lafayette Street, 1,600 feet away from me, right, but they were gonna have 120 registers in one store. 120 registers, right? That's the supermarket was huge, right? Mega store. So imagine how cheap they were gonna sell the product, right? So they were gonna knock us out. So I went straight to the community board and was like, yo, y'all openly, I'm gonna slap somebody. I'm sorry. It's over.
We had a doctor. We had a doctor by us who tried to open a block away from us. And basically tried to paint us as criminal drug dealers, and he was a doctor with a license, and so that was gonna make his shop better, and that was gonna make his shop more reputable. And we had to go to our community board and stand up, and we had to speak, and thankfully we were able to build such a strong argument that they denied his location. But between competitors, between taxes, OCM regulation changes, we deal with.
There's so much. People don't understand.
Yeah, people do not understand the things that we do.
What I think people don't talk about also is that it's not just about the retail side of cannabis. There are so many other avenues in the cannabis industry that you can grow in, because literally, we're at the beginning here in New York. And if you take the time, you can still be profitable doing other things. It just doesn't have to be retail dispensary business.
But it does take capital.
It does take capital.
So I would love to highlight that part before we get to another question. How much, I know, but how much money did it take to get this going?
$1.3 million.
$1.3 million.
So we did it on 1.1.
So 1.1, 1.3.
Yep.
That's the spirits, right?
That's what
Yeah,
counts.
that was it, yeah.
That's where you have to start. So I'll let you go with your question.
I just want to say thank you all very much. As a matter of fact, I myself have had any number of health issues. I don't smoke, but I'm in the area of discovering benefits from the adaptogen properties of it, plus the gummies and edibles. Are those novelty things have any consequence to your business? Do they actually help? Well, like, we have them, but we lose money on that. I want to support you best as I can, but that's what I'm at.
No.
Yeah, no, we make money on
On everything.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
There's
And the
different
yeah.
different products with different consumption preferences. There's some people who prefer to smoke. There's some people who prefer to vape. There's some people who only do edibles. We even have CBD products that have no THC in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are products even for people who are not comfortable with THC. If you just want to explore CBD products, there's definitely products that can help with specific
Tinctures.
ailments, tinctures,
Pets
balms.
benefits.
There are
So,
also
yeah,
pet
like-
products. We have pet shoes that
Yeah.
are just CBD focused.
Tinctures.
I think we need to, as they can attest to, we're still working around breaking the stigma.
And I've also heard that there's so much research still being done because there's so many different cannabinoid molecules
Yep.
that it's unlocking so many benefits that people had no idea. Maybe you always knew, but there's actual scientific evidence.
But
behind it.
understand
Yeah.
that there are industries behind the effort to stop
Of
cannabis
course.
research,
Right.
right? Because there are industries that will end if the true benefits of cannabis are explored.
So right now, right now we're looking at the very, very real reality of cannabis being moved to Schedule 3, which still endangers Black and brown people because there is no equity at the table in policy in Congress whatsoever. Will there be equity at the table in 28? Absolutely not. So I wanna make sure y'all are very aware of the power of what it means to address things locally and block by block and street by street and borough by borough in New York. I say this as someone who moved back to Michigan recently, and has a big reality check for where we have people that are now realizing that local politics is gonna be the thing that's gonna have to be the balm and the solve for what happens federally here. And so that matters in terms of what you might think is the next reality of where this industry is gonna go and how people can be benefited. Yes, sir.
Shay, thank you. Hi, everybody, happy Friday.
Happy
Quick question, how has the introduction of other THC derivatives like Delta-9, Delta-0, has that impacted your business at all? Where do you see a year, 18 months from now, how does it look?
I think it's already impacting us, right?
It
Like,
has.
I think the smoke shops down the block that are selling that product and the Delta-9s, you know, it's just a lot of spray packs too, like, they're confusing the market, you know, and also, I don't know, I've gotten like kids that are like 21 that come with their parents to the store, right? That say like, I can't afford legal weed, but I'll pay $15 eighth, and I'm already addicted to like the spray pack, you know? And they're not smoking anything.
It's
else
happening
but the spray
everywhere.
pack,
Yeah.
so.
We just speaking about the spring back, so what, like, I think like it's the elephant in the room, like, why not go to Jaquan and come to the dispensary and cop the bud? Like, because, you know, people are gonna say the same, like, I can cop it here, so why am I going over here? Like, I feel like that's the question that a lot of people like.
Right now, these kids are okay with the spray. They
No,
like
they
that.
like that
They
spray.
really like
They
it.
want it.
They like it, but it's affordable, one, two, it's accessible, more so accessible.
Some of them pay more for
Yeah,
Ladies, baby, you
yeah.
talking about this?
It's not.
Spray pack. So a lot of our
Some
youth-
people locked into what they know, like, we know to go and cop it from, you know what I'm saying? We know to go upstairs, cop it, versus coming to the dispensary, like, I feel like a lot of people are like, why, like, clear that up, like, let us
But
know why.
I
What's the
think,
incentive?
I think it's gonna take a time, right? Like, nobody's going into somebody's crib, like buying alcohol in the bathtub. right? That people did that in the transition though. Like people,
My grandma had a club in the basement,
Right.
yo.
We're definitely in the prohibition era of cannabis, for
so
sure.
I think it's gonna take time, but we are the lab rats in the system, right? I got flown out to go to the United Nations in Austria to speak about the model of what New York is doing to explore about implementing this across the world, right? So the director of human policy for the United Nations, he wants a drug report by 2030 to decriminalize drugs across the whole world, because the president of the Philippines, they saw he violated, human rights violation by they got proven that he killed 6,500 people for just drugs, any drugs. It could be weed, it could be coke, whatever it is. You got caught, you got shot.
And so what's happening federally and in different states is that a lot of different states are now banning the sale of Delta 9, Delta 8, Delta 10 items. Ohio just did it recently.
Yep.
Texas is doing it. Florida did it.
Yep.
There's a lot of those movements occurring. But at the same time with Schedule 3, those are not items that have businesses like this in mind. It's only strictly based off of the people that have bought and sold themselves into what is fascism. That's what, I'm just gonna call words what they are, because that's what the words are. And it's also bought into people that do not look like me or you or anybody in the same hubris of hue in this room. And so on a closing statement, because we are at time, I would love for everyone here to kind of give their final thoughts. Thank you everyone for being here. I know that we are here for the Liberacion Film Festival. Thank you, Amelia Carr, for taking us in. I'll let Coss kick it off.
I don't know. I think the biggest thing is to really educate the consumer where the dollars where you're gonna go, right? I'm doing toy drives, I'm doing turkey drives, I'm doing cold drives, I'm doing whatever. Jamor knows how much work we put in for the community itself, right? And if you spend money in, right, let's say travel agency, right? They invested in somebody that sued us, okay? And people don't know because they felt like it was unconstitutional for an ex-con to skip the line and go before them, right? And so that's what people don't know, and that's what I want to leave with people. It's let people know where to shop, shop at our shops, instead of those big shops that are gonna try to collapse our market, and come in here as vultures and shoot us down, and I'll get back.
Nicole?
I would echo that sentiment. I mean, every dollar that you spend at one of our shops is making a direct impact to the community, right? Travel agency is just looking at, and just using them as an example, not to, just shoot them out, but there are a lot of larger corporations who have bought multiple locations, and to them, it's just another dollar. For us, it's legitimately our family's well-being, and we do it for the passion. I would say for us, it's been a blessing and an honor to be representatives of the African American community, to be the first Black woman-owned dispensary in Manhattan. We do not take that honor lightly. We welcome everyone into our store. Please stop by and visit us. And if not, visit one of the other social equity applicants or licensees that are currently open, because your dollar is crucial to making sure that the New York cannabis industry succeeds, for sure.
How does someone get into the cannabis industry? Real quick, I'm sorry.
So unfortunately, we cannot answer that question.
We'll talk later though. We'll talk.
The next episode.
What's up?
For me, I guess closing comments are that if you're thinking of getting in the industry, come up with a plan.
You heard the money. You heard the money.
Ask questions.
You need money.
You need money. Ask questions. Educate yourselves. I think that's key. That's key to breaking the stigma. When we were going to open up, they thought that we were going to have bongs and pipes in the window. But that's not who we are. Like my wife said, we're all inclusive. Just don't give up. We're the testament to it can happen to you too.
And invest in Black and brown businesses, please.
Please,
It's so hard. takes so much out of us to try to beg for money, and it would be a pleasure for us to have people that look like us who want to invest in our
Please,
businesses.
yes.
Even if it's 10, 15, 20, 30,000, whatever you have, it's appreciated. Go reach out to a licensee who may not have it.
Well, ConBud is a mom and pop dispensary. Period. It's a private joint, like that's what it is, like, you know. So
Like,
everybody.
my wife just started working on me a month, like,
you know, but everybody's like a family.
Same thing,
So that being said, being everybody's a family, everybody's worrying about each other and worrying about what's going to happen with the business and how the industry is as a whole, you know. But hopefully everything be right and we succeed. That's it. Man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, everyone.
I want to thank you guys for coming. I want to thank you guys for the work that you do. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation, hopefully on better terms, more positive terms, but you guys are doing the work, so thank you.
We'll be here.
Yeah.
We're not going nowhere.
Nah, and that's what we want to
Anything,
hear.
we'll be here.
That's what we want to hear.
I'm not gonna stop. Yeah, there's nothing. We gotta
They might be
figure it
on
We
out.
have a screening in Jersey, November 2nd.
I know.
No.
Yeah, let's do that.